I now have this one here. I know this is like an Art Deco 2000 in Gilroy Indian.
Nice.
But, yeah, it's an electric start. I sold the other book. Well, I didn't want to be that boxer who didn't know when to get out of the ring. You know what I'm saying?
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
It's a Hawaii thing. Whoa, it's a Hawaii.
Welcome to another edition of It's a Hawaii Thing, brought to you by Office of Elections. Don't forget you have to vote this year. Can't go to the polls.
No, there's no polls.
Also want to thank City Mill, one of the best local places to get anything that you need to fix your house.
Hardware with a heart.
Or gardening, whatever. Also, Let's Mana Up. Make sure you check them out at manauphawaii.com. And of course, the Star Advertiser that helped us put this all together. We have a very special guest today.
Yes, we do.
This guy has taught me a lot of things.
He's taught you everything.
He actually taught me how to write comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my first comedy show or stand-up, if you could call it that. My first 5 minutes, which was a nightmare. He's the one that put me on stage. This guy has an amazing background.
It's a Godfather of comedy in Hawaii.
All right, this is going to be the greatest introduction.
If you will.
This is going to be the greatest introduction that he's ever got. All right, looked up to him as my comedy sensei. He's helped me write my first 10 minutes of comedy. Like I said, he did a thing called Island Comedy Showcase that he gave us a chance to do in Waikiki at the Don Ho Showroom. I think I was 22 years old or something. He's open for Tom Jones, Kenny Loggins, Natalie Cole, Lionel Richie, Paul Anka, Cool in the Gang.
Cool in the Gang.
Yes, also Charlie Daniels. He's Hawaii's first stand-up comedian to take local comedy on an international level.
Yeah.
He did shows in Vegas, all over the world. The guy's amazing. But he's probably remembered the most here for his show All in the Ohana.
With Honey Girl.
High School Daze. Ladies and gentlemen, the master, Andy Bumatai.
Woo!
How you doing, Andy?
How's it?
How are you?
I can't follow that introduction.
I
so
told
I'd like
you,
to
he's
thank
worked
you.
hard. He's worked
Thank
very
you.
hard on
Good
it.
night.
That's all we have. Yeah. How you
That's all
doing?
the time we have. Yeah.
How you
thank
doing, Coach?
I'm doing good. Basically, stuck in my house like everybody and playing with all. And thank goodness I have a room full of video equipment, so I've been playing with that. And most recently, I'm doing Daily Pigeon live.
Yes.
I've seen.
Yes, every day at 3:30 on YouTube. I think today will be my 15th or 16th day, and it's basically a chat fest, and I'm the traffic cop, but good fun.
You know what's funny? I don't know if you know, but I posted up your video, the one of you giving directions. Did you see that? I tagged you. It had about 150 shares.
Wow.
Oh yeah. You're talking about the Instagram one.
Yeah, you were giving directions. I put it on my Facebook.
Are you on IG, Andy Bumatai?
Oh, bro. What I do is I take 1 minute pieces and then I put them up there. And that one was about old people like me giving directions based on things not there anymore. Oh, bro, you go to buy the old stadium and you come by where the hula supply store used to be. And we used to have the star. Okay, you take one left and you used to have, that kind.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How long have you been on the IG, on the gram?
I've been on I don't know, a year or so. But
No, you've been longer than that.
You're
really?
so
Has it been?
hip.
I don't know. But if I have, this thing that I'm doing, I don't, it doesn't lend itself to a minute clip, so I haven't been doing it a lot.
Right, right.
Will we be seeing TikToks from Andy anytime soon? Hitting the whoa or the woo or whatever?
You know what? I'm social media platformed out.
It's too many to do.
I'm concentrating on YouTube. I mean, I haven't posted anything on Twitter if it doesn't automatically go from something else. But now go ahead.
I have so many questions to ask you, so we got to get into this.
Yeah, sure.
How old were you when you started stand-up?
5.
25.
Really? I thought you were younger than that.
No, you just look younger.
Well, you're talking about when I actually started getting paid.
Yeah. That works.
So like a couple of years before that, I was dying in the amateur, what do you call it, the amateur talent shows, because didn't have stand-up venues back then, right?
Where did you do it when you were 25? The first gig you got to get paid. Where were you?
That was playing Frank De Lima's breaks at the
Dang.
at the noodle shop.
The noodle shop.
And it was interesting because, Millie said, "Hey, how about playing Frank's breaks?" And when I went in there, he was the kind, Kalama,
Yeah.
and I went, "Yeah, I can follow that." And then I came in there on the weekend, go, O-H, okay, remember that shit? All that.
Yeah.
And I was like, and the place was
Packed.
and now, ladies and gentlemen, and then they did a thing, and they weren't used to having somebody perform with them, right? So they would go into the audience, Kekaweva and Chuck Tilton and Frank, right? And they would voila out with everybody.
While you're doing stand-up.
While you were doing your stand-up?
Right, and I'm
Haters.
like, and I had to talk to like Kekaweva. I said, "Bro, you cannot stand stage in the middle of the stage
You're a
talking to the guys."
Kikueva. Step to the right. You blocking my lane.
Wow, Kekaweva, he blocked the whole front row.
You have an amazing story. When you first opened in Las Vegas, you were at Caesar's Palace. You told me this story. We were driving to Arizona. I love this story. Can you share with everybody when you first pulled up to Caesar's Palace?
Is it a clean story?
Of course.
Okay.
Well, of course. No, it's not. Is that I have so many. Is it the kid, the guy?
The sign.
The sign.
Yes.
Yeah. Well. So well, actually, that happened inside Caesars, and his brother seen me. Andy, brother, hey, I seen your name outside on a big sign by the highway. What? You opening for the Beach Brothers? It was the Beach Boys, right? So yeah. And he says to me, "What, bro? They can understand you."
But you pulled out in the parking lot, and they spelt your name wrong.
Oh no! That wasn't Caesars. That was Ballet's. Right?
Oh, right down the street.
Yeah.
Yes, Ballet's.
No. So yeah, they forgot the I or something. I think it was the A or the I. So I go into the office. I said, "Hey, you forgot the A in my name." Oh, they said, "Don't worry, we'll fix it, Mr. Bumatai." Right. Then I go outside, and here's this like 18-wheeler with this giant 100-foot A coming around the corner, and I was like, "Nah!" And I had second billing. Tom Jones.
Oh, because back then it wasn't digital.
No digital.
We put actual huge gargantuan letters.
Oh, bro, it was the kind of stop traffic.
What an amazing story.
Right.
Yeah. So I mentioned a bunch of people you opened for. Who was the most exciting to be on the road with?
Well, Tom Jones,
Tom Jones.
Only because not only he's an amazing singer, but he's a wonderful guy,
Oh, good.
But he's the kind, he goes into a place, right? They walk up, okay, we're not closing until Tom Jones is done drinking, right? And he don't suck them up. He sip, but he loves to talk story. He's a historian. He likes history, and just he's the kind of guy, all four of us could all go out, and it would be like, wow, this guy real mellow.
How old is he now? Because he's still working.
No idea.
Like he's on The Voice in the UK.
Oh, that's right.
Like that dude is still.
He's got to be in his 80s.
I don't know. I don't know what he is. I'm 66.
For sure.
And I was there in my 40s, so you
Boy,
do the
that
math.
Filipino blood looks good on you, Andy. You don't look 66.
All of that pancit.
You got all that hair. Godly.
I think that tiki behind you is your source of power, maybe.
It's actually my dad carved this for my little brother, but we call him the feral child. We have no idea where he is, so I've been holding it for him for years. Nice. It says Kolohe carved right here. You can't see it, and that's a puka shell necklace. Handpicked by Nanny Rego in Waianae.
Okay.
That's a Hawaii thing, by the way.
You know Debbie Rego, right? Debbie, that's her little sister.
Deep.
Ah, nice. So you have another great story that I like. You opened for Rodney Dangerfield.
No, I didn't. I worked with him a lot at the comedy
store. Oh, you worked with him. Okay.
But he wanted. Is this the one where he wanted me on his special?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and by the way, I didn't take the gig because he actually said to me at one point, "But you're too clean. Could you add some swear words? Because you'll look like Peter Pan with everybody else." And I said, I wouldn't know where to begin. So I I passed, and Sam Kennison got the gig instead.
Oh, wow.
And that's where he took off, and well-deserved, But what happened was...
He owed you, Sam.
Well, but what happened was Rodney called me at my house, right? And it was like, hey, hello, this is Rodney Dangerfield. Andy, I'd like to talk to you about a special, And I said, that's the worst impression I ever heard, and I hung up on him. He called back, Andy, it's Rodney. I see you at the store. Come on. Yeah, right, boom. All of a sudden, Mitzi Shore from the Comedy Store calls me up.
Pauly Shore's mom.
Yeah, Andy, why do you keep hanging up on Rodney?
Oh, classic. We're talking with Andy Bumatai. Don't go anywhere. Take a quick break. We got to thank the Office of Elections. Hawaii, we're voting by mail.
From here on out.
Yeah.
We are the future.
Forever?
Forever, ever.
You think so?
Yeah, once you go this way, you never go back. It's archaic.
We got to go back to the polls eventually, I hope. Anyway, you got to get a ballot. You got to be in the mail, and you're going to get a stamp and everything.
It's easier. It's safer. It's the wave of the future, bruh. Get on board. Ride the wave.
And if you're a kupuna, you cannot go to the polls because they like to go to the polls. My mom always.
No.
I'm going to vote.
You'll get it in the mail.
Yes.
Just pretend. Walk to your living room. Pretend that's your poll.
There you go. All right.
Fill it out there.
If you have any questions, go to elections.hawaii.gov.
Yes.
Their phone number's on there if you need to get help or whatever, how to mail it. I wonder if you got to put a stamp on it.
I think it's self-addressed.
To mail it back?
I think we can afford that.
So make sure you vote.
Put it on Lanai's tab. Put it on your tab.
We just need everyone to vote, please. Also got to thank City Mill. You need anything, City Mill is your spot.
They have
I tell you,
everything.
it's the locals' favorite. Their garden projects. They have some cool garden projects.
And nails, I hear.
You like when I say nails, huh? But they, they're locally owned. They're carrying garden supplies.
Yes.
A lot of people are doing their own planter boxes.
Say it with me, furniture.
Yeah. That's where we got this beautiful shelving behind us and everything. City Mill's your spot. Make sure you go visit them and say hi to the nice people there. Also, let's Mana Up.
Mana Up.
Mahalo to Mana Up. They offer local Hawaii products and you can buy online.
Your shirts from there.
Yes.
My dresses from there.
38 amazing entrepreneurs.
All different things.
Local made, a lot of cool stuff. You can go to manauphawaii.com. All right, you can get more info from there. Andy Bumatai. Hey. You did a show in Waikiki. It was the Don
He did a lot of shows.
Don Ho Showroom, and it was called the Island Comedy Showcase. It's when I first met you. And do you remember this?
Yes.
He remembers a lot.
We were only there for a short period of time.
But it was good, though.
Wait, you hired Lanai? You were in this show?
No. I didn't pay anybody.
Well, Andy had Augie, which he just started. Paul Ogata, we just started. Right. You had
Ryan
Matsumoto, and we were sitting in the back room. It was Don Ho's dressing room.
Of course.
It was me, Andy, and James Grant Benton. And Augie. This was after the first show, and Andy was like, "You should go up and do 5 minutes." Remember this?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't do comedy." He goes, "No, you just go MC, and I'll help you write some jokes and stuff." And I asked James, "How do you guys write?" Do you remember what James did?
No.
He reached in his duffel bag and he pulled out an ounce of pakalolo.
Seriously?
Yes. That's how he writes.
What?
That's what he told me. Yeah.
No, that's the George Carlin school of writing.
Yeah.
I met George Carlin one time after a show, and he told me, he says, what I do is I write completely sober, right? And then I burn one and punch it up.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Got it.
How do you write?
Well, I basically in the early days I would actually write stuff, right? But then as you get on the road and you're working a lot, depending on how much you're working, it evolves. And you talk about, like I was in a bed and breakfast once, this Chinese guy, and I said, what's it like being a living cliche, right? Because this guy goes, okay, over here, we get, it was cheap because I was broke, $30 a night. Oh, that sounds great. You want sheets? I said, what? He said, you want sheets? I said, yeah. He goes, $1 more a day. $1 more for the sheet.
What?
You want pillowcase? And it went to towels and
Oh
soap.
my gosh.
And, pretty soon he had me up to $80 a day. I went, wow. But anyway, when things like that come around, then that's how I wrote in the thing. But I have to tell you something, and this is the first time I'm saying it publicly. I think it's over for me. I think stand-up is in the past for me. Only because.
Why?
Well, only because I think the nightclub model is never going to be what it used to be.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same.
I mean, imagine right now.
But that's just a venue.
No, but I did a piece. I said, back in my day, people used to sit in one small room, all crowded, no mask, nothing, mouth open, ha, 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 ha. And always get that brother. Hey, excuse me, bro. You can try control your respiratory droplets.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think people will ever be comfortable. And plus, I'm 66. I'll be 67 this year.
Yeah, but your writing is so. It's I like to word the words genius because you give it a different twist. It's almost like Seinfeld.
Okay.
And we
go the other
need
way.
you. If any other time. Mr. Bumatai, that the world needed your brain, it would be now.
You know what? What I'm doing now is I'm concentrating on YouTube, right? And bits come and I tee off of comments that people say,
Right. Yeah.
and
But this might be the new stand-up. This might be the new clubs.
But the energy's not there. I know what you're saying. Comics live off of that energy.
Yeah.
That energy is everything.
But bro, imagine performing in front of a crowd. Everybody got masks 6 feet apart. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think, so what that means is the clubs will say, we don't get the same amount of people, so we have to give you less money.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm starting to go, okay, I got YouTube, or
Right.
So
I remember the first time I wrote, Andy says, after that meeting, he says, okay, I want you to go home and write down everything that's funny to you. And I had like 5 pages. And so I see Andy like 2 weeks later, and he overlooks everything. I think only one thing he kept. Everything had red mark. That's not funny. Red mark. Do you remember that?
Man.
Well, you know what? And writers will say this to you, not just comedy writers, but writing is rewriting, right?
Yeah.
And when I taught comedy, what I told people was go home and write 5 minutes about yourself. And they're like, what? Don't be funny. That's the key. Don't be funny. So they would bring this up, and I was born here and I did this, and I go, okay, that's your act. Now we add the punchlines.
Yeah.
I was
truth.
and I mean, this is a bad example, but a guy will start with, well, I was born in Kalihi. And I go, okay, there's the joke. I'm not Filipino, but I had a cosigner.
Right.
It writes itself, really.
First joke. Next one is I was one of 6 kids, So, and then you add
And then you just say,
punchlines.
see the part where you said you're from Kalihi.
But
Well,
Andy sees it in a
Yeah,
different way
That's what I'm
than,
saying.
it's just amazing.
But see, this is all leading up to the end all be all question, which is all in the Ohana.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's been asked this so many times.
Come on,
Go ahead,
bruh.
ask him.
We need you.
I'll tell you where that came from. I did School Daze, right? And I played a bunch of characters, right? But all the characters kind of looked alike, right?
Yeah.
So when we came to the next one, I said, how can I do characters and it's okay that they all look alike? A family.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how that came.
I think right now is a good time to
We
re-release
need you
it.
to bring them back for COVID.
But
Can you imagine?
But and you guys know, really, it's too expensive now. Us guys, hey, that's one good place for shoot. Pull over,
Yeah.
But if we start a GoFundMe account.
What was the budget? What was the budget for All in the Ohana? Do you remember?
30,000.
Dang!
Wow. And
Completely.
you were doing this before Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah.
He's doing things before all of them.
Yeah.
Everybody sees his whatever movie he did, and if you look at the dinner scene, it looks almost exactly like mine. And that's okay. That's proof of concept. I'm getting used to that. Let's not talk about in the car.
No, let's
Oh.
not. Let's not. That will
Coffee
hurt.
with comedians in the
That
car.
will
That was
hurt.
Andy Bumatai's show, ladies and gentlemen.
Below the belt.
Yeah,
It's all right.
that was your show.
It's okay.
But what are you gonna do? You know that it works.
And then I said, when I had the cancer, I said my bucket list was I'm going to ride around and make motorcycle videos. I put them on YouTube, spent thousands, nobody watch them, 500 views, right? I stay in my room here and talk pigeon. Hey, how's it gang? Thousands of views. I'm like,
just gangbusters.
But you know what, Andy? I think that's a testament to people love when you speak pigeon. People love you when you do your characters. They really do.
But you're giving away the secret sauce. You really are giving it away.
But he's the only one can do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Do a search on pigeon comedy. I mean, there's a few people doing it, but nobody, like
Nobody
4 years
like
ago,
you.
there was some stuff. But primarily, and this is actually kind of sad, mostly it's about migrated Hawaiians who couldn't afford to stay here.
Yeah.
And miss
True.
it.
Yeah.
So suddenly they're like, oh, you take me back home. And I get from all over Germany and Istanbul. That's why this thing is so much fun to do live, because where you from, bro? And for a long time I never hear Garut. Oh, bro. Because I make the kind of, I don't like make all Garut. And the pigeon, when you're on the mainland, you guys know, right?
Yeah.
And you speak good English all the time, your pigeon fade.
It does.
Yes, it does. Look, right here.
So,
there's one sitting in front of me.
Wow.
Yeah. We got to take a quick break. We're talking with Andy Bumatai.
Hater.
It's a Hawaii thing. I'm sorry to cut you off. Andy, you've done a bunch of TV stuff. Have you done anything lately, like the Hawaii 5-0, the Magnum?
No, I don't do that. I don't submit anything and they don't call me. But primarily, I'm concentrating 3:30 every day, Hawaii Standard Time, YouTube. The Daily Pigeon Live. Yeah.
Do you miss doing stand-up?
I've been doing it for 40 years, so no. I like challenges, and I'm, in fact, I tell everybody, okay, we're gonna do this in May so I can practice. June, I should be ready to actually look like I know what I'm doing, right? Yeah. So we have what we call the Hamajang Gang. That's, like KSSK has the posse. We have Hamajang Gang. And they submit stuff and I show pictures and talk about where do you go when you miss Hawaii and stuff. And it's fun to be the narrator of that, and I'm concentrating on that. And I believe what you guys are doing right here, this is the future.
Yeah,
this is the new stand-up. This is the new entertainment.
A lot of stand-up comedians are doing podcasts now. The whole industry. It seems like they're helping each other get the word out that they're doing them as well. You would have an awesome podcast.
But I like visual. And what am I gonna do with all these cameras? Huh?
Maybe that's your podcast.
Yeah.
That's your podcast, Andy.
You can do a podcast like this. Okay. In fact, I was joking on my show the other day. I said if I was a podcaster, I would change my name and I would become the Velvet Vala'au. And welcome to the Velvet Vala'au.
That sounds good.
And you wear a crushed velvet suit with the ruffles.
That would be good.
Podcast, bro. Podcast.
So C.
Because I really do. When I was growing up, they had those cool FM DJs that actually used to go to the club, listen to bands, and then bring back the record and play them and that kind. So that was that.
Now you went to Lanai High School, correct?
On occasion.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Because you filmed High School Daze at Lanai High School, is that correct?
Yeah, we taped. We used a lot of the locations there. In fact, I got an email. Bro, I was watching School Daze, and hey, you was Kalani High School, was in Waianae. How come you use Kalani? Yeah, and I said, bro, because Kalani was a quarter mile away, and I got a budget. People don't realize, right? But nobody watches, Hawaii 5-0 and goes, ever bound on Kapahulu? How can, bro?
Oh, there are some people that do that.
Yeah, it's right, though.
It's called not having hobbies.
I really think, though, you should find out. I mean, do you own these? They should air, like, now. Everyone's home watching TV. The younger generation. Like, I showed my kids all in the Ohana. They thought it was hilarious.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because we accidentally made a timeless classic, right? Because on the first show, we accidentally showed gas prices and license plates and things like that. So this time we said, we're not going to show any of that, right? So that's what makes it timeless, number one. And again, I wasn't the only one. Larry Fleece was the main engine behind that, right?
Yeah.
And KGMB owns half of it. I own the other half, but they've changed hands so many times. I don't want to open that quagmire.
I know where it is. You guys want to know where it is?
Where is it?
Because I went looking for it. It's at Ulu Ulu over at East West. They have all of the archives for KGMB intact.
We should get it aired.
Ooh. Well, you know what I'd like to find? If you're looking around there, I'd like to find these videos I did with Jay Akuhead Pupuli.
Oh my gosh, the DJ.
I'll bet you they're there. And I'll tell you why no. Only because KGMB, out of all of the networks, before they moved, they were smart enough to have the archivists come in and take all of the stuff.
Wow.
So they have an intact. I touched the reels. I've seen them. So they're over there on your side of the island, on the west side. Yeah.
Yeah, because Jay Akuhead and we did a series called Nefarious Calculations.
Dang.
Right? And it was just simple stuff, but I would love, it was like this one. Oh, bro, how much you like for this car? Oh, I like 300. 300, boy, that's kind of cheap, huh? Why are you selling them so cheap? Well, the brakes a little spongy, and then the camera pulls back, and the whole front of the car is all mangled, right? Just short little things. Yeah. But that was all Jay Huckler.
I think you should go and revisit that for sure, because the younger generation.
After this whole social distancing thing, we'll go to the archives, and you can go look around and see.
Or we could think of a new idea and do something brand new.
You could do that too.
Don't tell people on the air. They're going to steal all our ideas.
No, but I'm just saying this right here is what I was referring to. What we're doing right now. I think
is there anything that you have planned besides your podcast? Like when this is all over, you're going to go out and do that you want to do?
Well, not really, because I'm all in on this podcast, and on the podcast, I'd like to mention that we auction off jewelry and these different things, right? I don't know if you can see this kind of stuff. Yeah. And people donate it, and then we and they say half for the show, Daily Pidget, and half goes to the Keiki Cancer Fund.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and some people go, hey, what's their address? And so we're supporting the...
and they just ho'okupu anything or jewelry?
Any kind. No.
Because I have an Emmy up here behind Lanai.
You know what?
That he keeps saying he wants to get rid of. So
I tell people, the kind, if you have some stuff that, but I don't want to turn into an auction site.
That'd be weird.
And the last thing I want is, bro, I get one blender. That thing's still good. What, you like them?
Only get 2 blades.
Yeah, only get 2 blades, but, as long as you put soft kind stuff.
Well, that's a good thing that you're doing. Andy, how did you know, or how old were you, did you know that you were funny?
You know what? I've examined that question so much. And this, first of all, caveat, everyone, comedy is like a frog. You can dissect it and find out how it works, but it kills the thing, right?
Yeah.
So when you start talking like this, it's generally unfunny. But when I was young, my mom listened to stand-up. She was a stand-up comedy fan. And she used to invite people over to the house when you used to put on an album and everybody would sit around and listen to it. Dick Gregory, Lenny Bruce, Mort Saul, Bob Newhart. And I didn't understand it too much, but all I saw was my mom, who, was in an abusive relationship with my father, who's a monster, right? The only time I really saw her laughing and enjoying was when she was listening. And I went, I want to be that guy making everybody happy, So I started pantomiming Bill Cosby's albums in school for show and tell. And then I memorized them, and then I would do them without playing the record, right? And then, bro, once you get stand in front of a crowd and everybody laughs, I don't care how ugly you think you are. It's
It's a drug. Now, were you the class clown in school?
Yes. Oh yeah.
You were.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, mostly because I probably had the least amount of money from everybody. So my clothes was always Boro. My hair was always my teeth were all cracked because my dad don't fix nothing, right? So like Eminem in that movie when he said, "So I'm the one who teased myself, so no one else could,"
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome. And at how old did you think you were going to do stand-up for a living?
Probably was 21. I was a salesman. I sold copy machines because I didn't have an education. My dad kicked me out of the house.
Where did you sell copy machines?
Here in Hawaii. I sold a lot of things, vacuum cleaners. But because see, when my dad kicked me out, I was 15, right? So I lived on the beach and I got myself a job. So I had to drop out of high school. I'm not bragging or complaining, but it's the cards you're dealt. So I didn't have an education. But then I got a job bussing tables downtown, and I see all these salesmen come in, drink coffee, dress nice, open up briefcase, make one phone call. Oh, well, that's my day. And whoa, bro, come back here. What you do for a living? I'm a salesman. I want to be a salesman.
Wow.
So I lied and told them I had college education and all this kind. And I got a job as a salesman selling copiers. And then
it's so interesting that all these things that you saw positive, because you lived in such a weird negative time, these things that you saw positive, you said, I want to be that, or I want to make people laugh, or I want to, you know what I mean? Well, it's interesting.
Well, where I'm at with it, and I go to Lanai and I tell people, the kids there, that I go, the advantage you have over the best schools on this island or the state or anywhere is, shame, get in somebody's face and go, hey, you know what, bro, right? But instead of broke in their face, you should go, may I please have a job? We're not hiring. You missing out, bro. Don't turn away from me. You missing out if you don't hire me. I said, what have you got to lose? Right. These guys, they don't shame crack somebody, but ask them for a job. Oh, bro, I don't like to do that. Bro. I said, you gotta use that energy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's a great thing. Who did you listen to comedy-wise, or who did you look up to when you were coming up?
Well, when I understood it, Mort Saul, Lenny Bruce, Dick Gregory, these are before my time. But when I listened to my mom, I said, what is he talking about? But then Bill Cosby, I could relate to him, and I thought he was actually funny. That's why I did him. But then later on in life, it was guys like today, Elaine Boozler, Bill Hicks, guys like that. People,
because in Hawaii there was nobody. You guys were the first generation, right?
You know what? I called myself Hawaii's first stand-up comic, but when I think back now, it was probably Kent Bowman, right? KK Kaumanua.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he did a lot of stand-up, but I never was aware of that. I was only, I only saw his fractured fairy tales that my mom had, right? Yeah. So later on, I went, you know what? And I went to his funeral, never met him, went to his funeral and thanked him.
Wow.
Yeah, in fact, Kent Bowman's funeral, the whole church packed. I walk up. Ladies and gentlemen, could I ask everyone to please rise? Everybody stand up. You may be seated. They all sit back down, right? And I say, I only did that because I think Ken would think was funny.
That's a good one.
But
he opened the door for you. Well,
for me, Booga
everybody,
rap, you name it. He opened that door and we went bust through. I asked him. I heard him in an interview one time, and he said he wouldn't do the fractured fairy tales because you could do pigeon, but people knew what you were talking about because they knew. Hey, grandma, what big maka you get? Oh, that's takai for see you more better. Oh, big your teeth, all that, So that's why he did fractured fairy tales. So he could,
I see.
Hopes to go national.
And then how did you hook up with Booga Booga?
Oh, bro, I was playing Frank's breaks, right? Dying like a rat. In fact, one time Melvin came up to me. I was going to quit. I said, I can't take this. I'm going to go someplace. She grabbed me by the shoulders and she said, it's Melvin. She said, boy, you're not that funny, but you get balls. You're going to do all right.
Oh my God, that's so Molokai.
Yeah.
Right. And I just went, oh, okay. And then anyway, Rap decided to leave Booga Booga and go on his own. They needed a replacement, right? And they came and saw me and they said, anybody can do that every night. You know?
You're here.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah.
So and I did that for a year, but they weren't on time. And you know me, Lanai, I'm like clockwork on time.
Andy is, you know what? I always tell people, because I'm always on time, and people always tell me, that's good you're always on time. I said, I got that from Andy. You know me, Andy and I, well, not just did shows, but we traveled a lot.
Right.
So we would have these, Augie would sleep, I would have to drive, and I get to ask Andy all these great stories, you know. But you would always talk about being on time. I always respected that. Very professional.
You know where I got it?
Yeah.
I was selling copy machines, and I made an appointment with Lex Brody, Lex Brody.
The Lex Brody, wow.
10 o'clock was the appointment. I showed up 2 minutes after 10. Hello, Mr. Brody, I'm here to show you. Well, he goes, you're late.
Wow.
I said, what? 2 minutes, sir. I had a little trouble parking. He says, is your time more important than mine?
Wow.
Well, and I went, no, sir, of course not. He says, then I'm going to give you one more chance. You come here tomorrow, 10 o'clock.
Really?
If you're not here at 10, forget it. Next day, 10 minutes too, I was standing outside his door. By the way, he never buy. But,
see how he is.
But he gave me a long lecture on the importance of being on time. He says, it's something you can do. You don't have to have money, nice clothes, good hair, good upbringing. It's something you can control. Make a difference, be on time.
That's awesome.
See?
What do you like about when people are not from Hawaii? What do you like telling people that's so cool about Hawaii?
Well, you know, I often tell people, I say, when the rest of the world finally gets it together, it'll be Hawaii. You know, nowhere else are you more aware of the ethnicities without being concerned.
Yeah.
You know, more, you know, and like I tell Haole people, I said, you see, most Haole people, I tell them, you don't know what it's like to be a minority. Yeah. But if you're a local Haole or a Haole in general who grew up in Hawaii, you can empathize with
you are painfully yes
exactly aware. Because bro, what Haole, what you doing here, buddy?
You're the minority now.
Where else would white people learn that? You know what I'm saying?
You do this joke. I want to end with this. He does this joke. I don't know if you've heard this before. It's my favorite. You haven't done it in years. I mean, even the last tour we went on, you didn't do it. It's about a refrigerator. And you talk about different ethnicities. I have two favorite jokes. There's one about the fly, and then there's one about the refrigerator. The refrigeration joke, can you tell everybody how you came up with that and just do a little bit of it?
Well, basically, it was one of those when I was writing, and I said, when you open the refrigerator, you ever notice that, you ever wonder if the light goes off when you close the door? I mean, the light's staying on, and then you try to race electricity. And I said, I was doing that the other day, and it dawned on me, I hope I'm not making the food mad, right? So it starts off, now we go in the refrigerator, and how does the food feel about this light going on and off? Hey, man, that light going off and on. It's like a disco in here, man. I said we break out of here, man. I said we get together, organized. Let's be a salad, right? Hey, bro. Well, bro, I think you ought to just cool your jets. Oh, American cheese. It's easy for you, man. You're individually wrapped, And
I remember this. Yeah. This was in your HBO special that you did, didn't you?
Whoopi Goldberg was the host. Do you remember that? I got
memory.
That's right. I remember that now.
Because look, local kids watching you on a big TV show, that was validating for us. But
it almost killed my stand-up nationally because of that one ending line. Do you remember? You know what I mean? Oh, eggs. You're like that because you have your own special place. That's because you're white.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, done.
Andy Bumatai, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. What's your website so people can
put up your graphic.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Always got to show us up.
What's your website?
Wait, hold on. I have this is the website here. Hold on, right here.
There you go. Okay. YouTube.com.
Tooling around.
Hawaii.
Yeah, well, because my old show was called
because
Tooling
of the
Around.
motorcycle show.
Yeah, and you can't change it once you do, and I have 3 million views on this site, so I don't want to change it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Coach, for everything. Congratulations on everything you're doing.
We miss you.
Thank you,
your
guys.
YouTube pigeon, your pigeon thing is at 3:00 every day.
Daily Pigeon, 3:30 YouTube.
All right.
Hawaii time.
All right. You take care. I'm glad you're healthy.
Oh, thank you, bro.
You
Appreciate it.
Andy Bumatai, the best.
Love you.
Take care.
It's a Hawaii thing. Whoa, it's a Hawaii.